Hello. So in continuation from the previous video, in this video, we will just learn about Porter's 5 forces. We'll just try to define this model which talks about industry competitiveness, which talks about profitability of the industry. So we will learn about each of the 5 factors which Mr. Porter has defined, and we'll try to see whether they make sense or not. Point number 1. But when we will be doing the fundamental analysis, that time we will be recalling these things and try to fit in these models into the qualitative analysis of the industry, because even in the fundamental analysis, in the start of the fundamental analysis, you will probably taking a top to bottom approach of portfolio management, where you will first want to identify one industry where you want to comfortably or with lot of confidence invest. So that's why it is important, and let's understand that. So Porter's 5 forces is a model that identifies and analyzes 5 competitive forces that shape every industry and help determine an industry weakness and strength. So there will be many brownie points and negative points might be also to operate into a certain sector. The similar kind of leverages, the similar kind of advantages may not be available in all the industry. However, there will be certain challenges also. Because of the nature of that industry, it will be there. And this is what Mr. Porter has done. What he has done, that he has very categorically put them all those similar nature of competitiveness which needs to be there into 5 different brackets. And he thinks that internally and externally, both, you have to be very competitive, right? So what are those 5 competitive thing is one thing. Second thing is, what should be the goal of doing this analysis, right? So let's first understand what are the 5 forces. So the 5 forces are competition in the industry, potential of new entrants into the industry. It's very common language, you can understand it very well, that we all can visualize about these words. They are not rocket science, power of suppliers, power of customer, threat of substitute products, right? So we will discuss them into detail, but even if you list down them like this, the way he has given, 90% of the visualization you would have already done, that what does it mean by. But then we have to fit them into an industry scenario, which we will do further. But before doing that, let's understand what should be the goal. So the goal is to set up a profitability expectation. Let's try to relate it with the stock market. See, your company might be doing really great sales, but do you think that power of compounding will always play into picture if the company is only doing great sales and not great profits? Not. Only it's the profitability which a businesses reinvest and then they grow. Otherwise, from where they will bring the capital? Capital on debt will always not be helpful in growing the company, right? So this analysis tells you that what is the kind of profitability you can expect into 1 quarter, 1 year, 3 year or 5 year, right? And that is why it has become very important that you do a competitive analysis of your business. You do the competitive analysis of the industry before getting into that industry, right? So Porter 5 forces talks specifically about industry, right? That in these industries, so when you have a model built by yourself about certain industry with your own parameter, you will see that it very much fits within these 5 criteria, right? So it's quite obvious that when competition will increase, the profitability will decrease, and that's why it becomes very important to talk about the competition part. So the goal of this analysis is to set up one profitability expectations, and it is important even for you as an investment guy, as a guy who is looking into invest into certain sector and looking for a great return from that sector, that you understand whether the existing players are profitable enough or not. What are the challenges they are facing already. So let's categorically understand those 5 things in. So potential of new entrants into the industry. Well, consider a situation that you are doing a business and it's going really well, but within a month this second guy who comes into the business. After 3 months, third guy comes. After 6 months, 10 more guys come. It's like opening a shop into a mall. There are hundreds of shops. You have taken one shop, and assuming that the product or the services you are selling, you will be the only seller. There will be shops for the other things, but let's say you are selling sweets and you are the only sweet guy who will be there probably. But then opening a sweet shop is not a very difficult task, right? Anyone can, have a good chef and start making sweets, and he can open a shop just besides your shop. Don't you think it will hit the sales and profitability both of your business? It will certainly. Think about a different industry like bank. Do you think it will be that easy like opening a sweet shop, that you want to open a bank also? No, right? So opening a bank will be tedious task. Taking the license from the government will be a very, very tough task. So there the entry barriers are very, very high. Well, in that case, you can quite categorically you can differentiate that. If the entry is easy, level of competition will be very, very high. This is what Mr. Porter's talk about, that if competition is very, very high, obviously it will bring down the profitability. So it is very important for you that you understand that what brings competition, and since these are the things which will bring competition, you have to be prepared to deal with that competition and be competitive enough to stay profitable at a good benchmark, at a good level, right? So new entrants is something which he has understood as one of the competitive area which one company has to address. Second is competition in the industry, right? So what kind of competition is already there in the industry? So try to understand this way. Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, Tata Telecom and 2-3 more regional players were there into the telecom industry. Now Idea was facing two kind of competition. One already from Bharti Airtel and Vodafone. They were the number 3, and Airtel was at that point of time probably the market leader, not probably, they were the market leader and fierce market leader. So Idea was probably most of the time thinking about the competition within the industry and not thinking about a new entrants, right? Which Jio came and they almost killed, or not almost killed, it's almost killed. Now both Idea and Vodafone are on the verge of filing bankruptcy. I guess bankruptcy only because they have used it, otherwise so after this you will see that only there are 2 people like Airtel and Reliance Jio will be there. So you can see that there is competition in the industry, and when you see that there are many rivals of yours. So right now the telecom industry is where the number of rivals are probably 1 or 2 for both of them, right? So they may find it now very easy or very very comfortable to deal with each other. So only Bharti Airtel and Reliance can set up all the prices. They hardly have any competition. We can call it a situation where we call it duopoly, not monopoly but duopoly. Similar things have happened in the steel sector. So the idea here is that you also have to see that within your industry how many number of rivals are there and how many such rivals are there who are very well established and they can even come and kill you. They can become so fierce that they want to, because they are also constantly thinking about rivals and they also want lesser number of rivals. So when you are choosing one company to invest into certain industry, you have to see that how many rivals are there, right? So competition within the industry is something which also need to be checked. Third is threat of substitute products. So a new substitute of the product can erode the sales of an existing product, right? So tea, coffee can be the substitute products. So let's say a lot of people are consuming tea, you are in a tea company, but then suddenly this new tea, green tea has come. You never thought about inventing a healthy tea. I mean, the tea is healthy or non-healthy is not something which I should use, but let's say green tea is healthier than the normal tea, and you never planned about sourcing green tea and launching your own green tea brand, and most of the consumer thought that okay, it's the green tea which is better, it's a better substitute than the older black tea which you consume in our house, then the existing profitability of the previous product can go down. I mean, the sales itself will go down. Forget about the profitability. When sales will go down, profitability will go obviously down, because a lot of fixed cost will be there, which anyway you have to incur. So threat of substitute products is third competitive force which needs to be tested. Bargaining power of the suppliers. So if there are very few suppliers of the raw material you are using, suppliers can increase the price anytime. They can bargain very hard with you. And if the price of the raw material itself is increasing, then what will happen, that your profitability will go down, because it's the final produce minus the raw material included with the operation cost and every other cost which is there to make a raw product into a final product, is something which determine your profitability, the difference between those two. Now, if the profitability itself is going down because raw material is going up, you will somewhere feel a competition, and you will somewhere feel a very tight competition because of the lesser number of suppliers into your industry. So this is also a competitive force. Then bargaining power of the customers. Well, bargaining power of the customers comes because many people are ready to offer. See, customer obvious choice will be to get things at a better price than what they are getting right now, right? And it's very obvious that they will bargain. But when a customer bargain, that is something which you have to analyze. So there could be many reasons. One reason could be lot of substitute products are there, right? So customer is thinking, okay, fine, this product or the other product I'll use. Lot of rivals are there, lot of players are there from whom they can buy the product and the services. So if many players are there and they are all targeting this customer segment, they all try to be better placed in terms of pricing. And when they will try to do that, they will keep bringing down the price. And if that happens, that because you are giving up, or the business is such where customer bargaining power is very, very high, the companies have to bring down the final product or service cost lower, and in that case the profitability will decrease as well. So all you can see that in the 5 different forces, they talk about the competitiveness which comes within the company and from outside also. Sometime within from the industry, sometime even outside of the industry. Now you will say, how outside of the industry? So if you see that the last two, the bargaining power of supplier and bargaining power of customer, they are not part of your industry, they are outside the industry, but still impacting the profitability of the company, right? So that has to be taken care. And the other 3 are something which is coming from within the industry, right? So competitiveness is something which needs to be checked in every industry. This is what Mr. Porters have analyzed and written in his theory, and most of the companies analyze this. Most of the conglomerate or the people who are going to invest into certain sectors, before getting into these sectors, they obviously do this kind of analysis. Some people don't do it, but at the end of the day, when they come into the picture of doing a business into that sector, they analyze that what they were thinking automatically fits into one of these silos. Well, in the next class we will learn about SWOT analysis, which they also do, business managers, for the critical decision making, and they do it to test their internal strength and weaknesses, and externally what the opportunities are there or the threats are there. So how do they use this analysis? Again, in a very short 5-7 minutes of explanation on the SWOT analysis is what we will go into do into the third video of this class 20. Thank you.